We made a little money today. All right. I thought the market was pretty flat. It had been, I guess, when I got done with lunch, but I didn't get to check. I'm running a little slow. I apologize. I was doing a kind of a post tenure review or a tenure review for a fellow professor. We got to sit in and listen to him lecture and do some things, make some notes and write a letter and all that other fun stuff. So yeah, we did okay today. Gosh, we made $820. You know, we should be in roughly for 120. So this shows us how much we've made actually since I input these. So we've made about $1,400, which, you know, 820 of that was today. So you can see how volatile that can be. I mean, we could easily lose the $1,400 in a heartbeat. So basically, but most of the stuff was green. What got announced today? Fed rate cut, another 0.25%. Yeah. So that's. I'll tell you what. In the world of finance, I know you guys probably don't care to hear much about that. You don't follow that news or anything. In the world of finance, those issues are huge. Okay, in banking, those things you lived and died. You know, kind of with news like that, and so you were constantly trying to be prepared. Okay, to react. You know, literally in a minute's notice. I mean, a person coming in and get a loan from you, if they came in at 1 o'clock, the loan might be 7, and at 2 o'clock it might be 6 3/4, right? I mean, it was that quick, and you needed to be able to react like that. And that, you know, that was in our little bank, big money center banks and whatnot. I can't even imagine the stuff that they have tied to that. I mean, it's huge. Okay, it's just absolutely huge. So that's important. I try to say that, try to get you guys to just kind of, you know, be a little bit observant about it. You don't have to be anal about it like I am, okay? But it's good to be a little bit observant about it, kind of know what's going on. It might have an effect. What's interesting, what is really kind of interesting, is that this year now the Fed has lowered rates 3 times, a 1/4 point each time. Long-term rates are starting to come back up. So if you listened in the summer, we actually had a little bit of an inversion where some of the short-term rates actually were higher than some of the long-term rates. They call that an inversion. A lot of people are concerned that that's a sign of a recession. Okay. Now we're getting back to a more normal yield curve where the long-term rates are quite a bit higher than are the short-term rates, at least in this really low-rate environment. Okay, when you're in a low-rate environment, you know, there's some compression that happens just naturally because you're in a low-rate environment. So, in any event, did you guys see the Budweiser guy, the Bud Light commercial that they made? You guys missed that in the World Series? You saw it, Alec? The guy was it was in Washington, and he was in the outfield, and somebody hits a home run, and it's right at him. He was in the first row, and he's got 2 big 16-ounce cans of Bud Light in his hands. He stands up, and instead of setting them down or dropping them to catch that home run, he just kind of scooches over a little bit and catches it right in his chest. You know, hits him right in the chest and fall. He eventually leaned down and picked up the ball. He got it. So, and then Bud Light made they bought him a ticket to go to the game in Houston then, flew him down there, got him a ticket to go to the game, gave him a specially made T-shirt that said protect the Bud or something. I can't remember what it said, but save the Bud. I can't remember. It was something pretty cool anyhow. And they showed him then, so they got some free advertising out of it, of course. And he's the new viral sensation. You know, stopping a home run ball with your chest so you don't lose your. He's 2-fisting it even. I'm proud of that guy. I tell you, that's just cool. Okay, I had told you guys that I might start taking a look at some other companies just to give you an idea of some of the things that I look for and how I look for them for your final and as you're getting to do your outlines now especially. Did I set a due date for those outlines? I think I'm going to shoot for next week, okay? You sigh of relief kind of, but don't put it off. I'm doing that because I want to give you some time to do some research, and so spend some time doing some research. And again, some of these things, hopefully, that I'm going to show you, I'm picking on Ritchie Brothers today. I'm not picking on them. Just the first one, I kind of thought, I was going down in my head. I've looked at Nike before, and I've looked at Costco before. I've looked at some of these. Ritchie Brothers was kind of an unusual one. I thought, I'm going to take a look at that one. So I clicked on it. I get looking at it, okay? And here's the things, and here's what I want you guys to notice. Have things jump out at you. The quote's kind of cool. You can look at that. I don't know why they have one that goes from right to left, and then when you click on it, it goes the other way. I think you can change it, but in any event, this goes from left to right, 2014 up to 2018. I'm going to switch to the dollar view, okay? Some of this is just really simple, guys, okay? Let's go along in top line for Ritchie Brothers. 481, this is revenue. 516, 566, 611. Well, that's just kind of a nice steady increase, right? Oh my God, what happened in 2018? Something changed, didn't it? Okay. Is that going to need to be in my paper? Yeah. Do I know what it is? Not just by glancing at it. I can sure make a pretty good guess. Okay. And I'll show you, I'll tell you what that guess is in a little bit. Look at their cost of revenue. Now, and that you kind of go along and you look at that, gosh, that's pretty tiny, and that's big. I want to hit the percentage because something, oh God, all of a sudden we go from 12, 10, 11, 12, fairly consistent. Now all of a sudden our cost of revenue jumped up to 45%. What happened? Okay. I can tell you, I'll make a pretty good guess because this was my guess right away when I saw it. They made an acquisition. And the acquisition was in something that's a little bit different business than what they've typically done. Frankly, I was kind of surprised that their cost of revenue is this high as an auction company. Why would I say that? Auction company doesn't really have a cost of revenue, right? They're basically taking things on consignment, okay, and they're hauling it, right? They might be hauling it, people haul it to them, whatever, and they're selling it and they're just taking a percentage. Their revenue is almost 100% without a cost of revenue. I would guess that some of the things I just said, they might have to pay some trucking. They might have to pay some, people to come in and clean the machinery and get it up to, snuff and do some things like that.
Yeah, Ritchie has a lot more services than
Yeah.
smaller auction company. They,
Right.
like you're saying, they have a lot more employees, a lot more.
Right. And so some of that probably, becomes a cost of revenue. But obviously, when that jumps up to 45%, something else happened. Okay, so they made an acquisition, I'm guessing. Okay. Acquisition, merger, something to that effect. Restructuring, merger. Oh, geez, we got some costs here that kind of jump right there. So that's in operating expenses. So they took some expenses related to a restructuring or a merger. So I'm, that's kind of affirming, my guess here a little bit that we had some stuff going on there, right? Okay. Well, how do I find that out? The best way is going to be to look at the annual report, but I just out of curiosity, I just Googled it. I said, Ritchie, R-I-T-C-H, Brothers, I can't spell, Ritchie Brothers auction. I went, because it looked like it was in about 2017, acquisition. Boom. Hit that. Well, in 16 they had one too. That's kind of interesting. They bought they bought out the remaining stake, and this happens. They had a finance company, so they were selling stuff and then they were financing. Probably making a lot of money on the financing side, which is good. And it looked like they didn't own all of that. They didn't own 100% of it, and so they bought the other 100%. But I don't think that was the big one. I think the big one was here in May of 17. They bought this company called Iron Planet. I don't know what Iron Planet is, okay? But if I was doing the report,
Yeah, it's an online platform for
Cool.
selling equipment, kind of like truckpaper.com or something like that, or the website.
Gotcha.
Advertising.
Gotcha. So something about it though, and I'd have to read into a little bit more than what I read. I just read a little bit, but I'd have to read in a little bit more. There's something about it that has that higher cost of goods sold. What that is, I don't know. You're going to tell me, I know. Okay. So those are the things. I don't want to take up a whole lot of time, but those are kinds of the things that you absolutely got to look for. Don't neglect the obvious. Okay, I fully expect you to tell me And some of you are just going to have real boring. Costco's probably real boring, for example. Who's doing Costco? Can't remember. Yeah, right. It's probably kind of boring because their cost of goods sold doesn't change. Their sales, I'll bet you, have just kept going up, creeping up year after year. Those are some of the tougher companies actually to do reports on. This one, we've already identified that Carl's got some pretty interesting stuff he's going to get to tell me about. Again, you've got to devote a little bit of time to the boring part of it too. That their sales, hey, they were just cruising along until 2018, and then this happened, right? We had the acquisition. It's affected their cost of goods sold. It's done some other things, Best place, again, you're going to get into the management discussion of those things in the annual report. It's going to tell us more clearly what happened. It's good to look up some news articles. I kind of like to do that just to kind of get a sense for it, maybe, and then get into the, to the annual report. And sometimes annual reports, they got management speak. I don't know what you want to call it, but sometimes it's just this language that once you get used to reading it, it's not too bad. But if you're not used to reading it, it kind of goes whoosh. So it's sometimes good to read some of the news reports on it because they might be a little more clear. So, okay, that's just a quick sense. Okay, I also come down. You got to look at the earnings. This is interesting. I hadn't looked at this even before, but look at that. They had a big jump in earnings per share in 2015. Huh. That was kind of interesting. Their operating income didn't change. Income before income tax, it jumped up some. Net income from continuing, so they had a big jump there. Net income from continuing operations, I'm guessing. Huh. Yeah. Something gave them a pretty big jump up there. And that's what caused a big increase in the earnings per share there. I'm not sure what that is. So that might be kind of interesting too, right? So, and that's just the income statement. I do the same thing for the balance sheet. You kind of take a look. What would I suspect if they had that acquisition in 2017? I might see that. I'm going to see it in a couple different places. I'm probably going to see it in their assets. They're going to get larger, right? Okay. There's a good chance I'm going to see it in debt. They probably borrowed some money. Okay. And, lo and behold, yeah, total assets, right, jumped up here. In 16, that was probably a combination of buying out that half interest, or roughly half interest in the finance company. And then it took a bigger jump here in 2017, okay, when they purchased that. The other thing that showed up here is this. No, that's not what I was looking at. It's goodwill. They don't call it that here. Where did I see that?
Just down.
Equity and other
There you
investments,
go.
right?
That's goodwill.
Oh, okay. Goodwill. Geez, I'm sorry. Thank you for pointing that out. Big jump there, right? What's goodwill? What's goodwill? Okay, a lot of you might see this. Goodwill is, remember when we do accounting, we've got a book value of accounting, okay? You got accountants, they're numbers people, right? You buy something for $1,000 and you depreciate it through the years, and after 10 years it's worth $10, okay? That's what it is on your books. It's worth $10, okay? But what if I sell that then for $800, okay? I've got to book $790 as goodwill. Okay, the difference between the book value and the actual purchase price then is called goodwill. In banking, we always call it blue sky too. Okay, because we didn't like to finance blue sky, right? And this doesn't surprise me in this type of an enterprise, again, because Ritchie, an auction doesn't have to have a ton of assets. They don't have to have a lot of capital goods. They probably got some trucks and this and that they're all, but mainly they're just, they got a sound system and a microphone. I'm really oversimplifying it because I know Ritchie Brothers is huge, and they do a lot more than that. I'm really, really oversimplifying it, but really that's about all they have to have is a microphone or a sound system and one guy that can get up there and do the pattern, And, okay, so anyhow, this kind of confirms, before I even looked things up, it kind of confirmed then that there was a purchase or an acquisition for me. Okay? And now I just got to go find the details, because the details, some of the details at least, I'm not going to spend a whole page talking about that particular acquisition, but I'm going to spend a half page or better maybe on how it's going to affect things. Okay? Because that's a big deal for this particular company. Does that kind of make some sense? What I want you guys to do is, if you're seeing some things like that and you're not sure what it is, ask me. Let's have a look, right? Okay. Sometimes I get confused and I have to go look, and I enjoy doing that. So, okay, your quick quiz question for the day. Piece of paper. Small one? Maybe we'll ask two of them. All right, if you had $10,000, and it was earning 8% interest, and you invested it for 18 years, how much would it be worth? Okay, you can use your fingers, but you can't use your computer or your calculator. Got $10,000, 8% interest, 18 years. That's question one. That was an evil look you just gave me, Peter. Question two. Maybe we'll make this one a little bit harder. If you had $20,000 and it was earning 7.2% interest, and you invested it for 50 years, right? You guys are really planning for retirement. You're putting that into your tax-deferred IRA account, right? I would hope. What's it going to be worth? There's your two questions. Other than that, I'll quit talking.